All right, so did you miss me last week? I was at the best conference I've been to in a very long time. The Spirit of God was moving strong, and I received so much information from the awesome guest speakers that I just have to relay a little bit of that to you, my audience. Now on to the intro.
Currently rocking in the school of life. He is here talking about stuff and whatever's going on in his brain. You know it is 100% Bridget!
All right, here I am. It's me talking about something. I got to get my tagline in. That's all there is to it. So I hope you enjoy the kind of new arrangement that I've been doing. And I went to this conference, so I didn't have a show out last week. So I apologize for that, but I don't, because I had such a great time. 4 days of just spending time refreshing with the Spirit of God just moving. It was absolutely fantastic. And I got some tidbits, actually just one little tidbit that I just want to continue to put out there. And I hope you enjoy this today. But first, if you're watching me on YouTube, please, if you're watching me first time, second time, third time, if you're watching me on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, do all the stuff. What's the other thing? Oh yeah, give me a thumbs up, because that's the stuff that helps me out. It helps out the algorithm so that I can be found and easier. So if you enjoy watching or listening, make sure to do all that stuff. And if you prefer to not look at my face, you can catch me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and actually on Facebook. The audio is available on Facebook now, and I always put the video up too. So check me out all over the place, and let's get into this. I'm going to read this, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 58. Now, if you've ever read 1 Corinthians chapter 15, it is basically, it's all about salvation. It's all about the God and the commitment to Him and how simple it is and all of that kind of stuff. Go read it. But this is the very end of 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Therefore, my beloved brethren, this is New King James Version, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Now I want to look at these three words, these couple of words here. Be steadfast and immovable, always bounding in the work of the Lord. To me, that sounds like being all in for God. And I'm titling this thing Committed. Because, when you go and do something for Jesus, you have to be committed to that thing. And guess what? People might think you need to be committed because you're so committed to doing the things of God. But that's an all-in attitude, being steadfast and immovable. Immovable is a huge word. That's standing firm. That's moving. That's not moving. That's totally 100% believing in the things that God has given you. If you read your word and read the Bible and you're running the race and you're doing all these great things, you cannot be shaken. You have a foundation that cannot be shaken. When you are steadfast, studying, learning, going after God, when you're steadfast in those things, you become immovable when situations arise. So you become that person that people rely on. You might, if you're a Christian out there and you find people coming to you for advice, wanting to talk to you, doing these kinds of things, there's probably, that Jesus that's inside of you that wants you to relay information to them to lean them towards salvation. So I think that's interesting because, we go to church and we do all that kind of stuff, but is your commitment to the building or is your commitment to God? So I heard a statement once that rocked my world. It said, if you've been burned by the church, you are following a man and not God. Huh. That was you just have to really kind of come to that realization if you're going to be all in with this thing that God is doing in you. Maybe He's doing a great work inside your church and you need to get yourself involved in those areas. That's one of the greatest things I think that churches can do is open up to actually serve and be a part of the ministry and actually come alongside the pastor and work with him or his team or whatever, depending on the size of the church, because some churches are so huge the pastor may not even know who you are, but they usually have some sort of program that will get you into the place that you need to be, get your seat on the bus, and move with God within that ministry, because serving is one of the greatest things you can do when you're all in. That's if you have skills, and talents, they need to be used in the church. They need to be used in the ministry. They need to be used for God. And that gives you a place where you can be committed to the things that God has for you to do. So let's say in my case, I know Photoshop and I can do some minor video editing. I'm not an expert at this stuff. I did go to school for a little while, but I kind of had to not go anymore for whatever reasons. It didn't happen. But I have these skills, and my church will constantly come to me and go, hey, can you help us out in production? And I just go, yeah, sure. Now, I should probably get paid for some of the stuff that I've done, but I just do it because that's something I know how to do, and I can serve God in that fashion. So we have to learn to say, okay, I have these skills. Well, and not always are we going to be the pulpit guy. So we have to have that understanding that because I might not always be the pulpit guy. Yeah, I can speak. I'm doing this thing. I've pastored a church, whatever, so on and so forth. But there's skills that we all have where we can help out the ministry and work within that and go all in with the things that we are committed to do for God. We have those skills for a purpose. And then when we're using those things, we are actually being steadfast in the things that God's given us to do. We are striving for more. And that's the direction. That's being committed. That's being all in, and that's connecting and getting in proximity to the leadership in your church so that you can see where things are going to go. And yes, we do follow what that vision of the church is. We do follow that thing, but the main concern is, are you doing it for the man? That sounded kind of funny. Are you doing it for the man that's in the pulpit, or are you doing it for God within the confines of the church? And that's where we have to go, okay, am I just going to church, or am I being committed to God while I'm in my church? See, that's a deep question if you really think about it. You have to be committed to God while in your church and function within the things that God has for you to do via the vision of the pastor of the church. Now, I know that you're getting an awful lot out of this verse there. Abounding in the work of the Lord. That's what it says in the verse. Knowing that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. When you are asked to do something for God, that it may be labor intensive. It may be something that you have to labor to do. I'm not saying you have to build walls or build things like that or lay concrete, labor intensive. But your mental capacity, your vision capacity, these kinds of things have to start to adjust while you are functioning within the church itself. Now, if you look at it from a kingdom point of view, everything we do in life, if you're kingdom smart, you're doing it for God. When you go to the grocery store and you talk to the cashier, when you see the greeter at the door, are you saying something? Hey, how you doing? Are you being excited about your life? And that's one of the greatest things is when you understand that, you become more excited about your regular mundane life decisions because you start to do them in a God function because you're all in with Him and you're committed to the things that you have to do. And one of the greatest ways to start that is serve at the church. Become a part of the ministry, watch it grow, see the kingdom. You know, I've said this before and people get mad at me. You know, marketing is another word for evangelism, because if you're not comfortable giving salvation or preaching salvation or speaking about salvation in the public, at least you can give them a card and send them to your church. And hopefully your church is doing some sort of salvation thing every service. Because if they're not doing that, you got to find a new place. And I'm just going to be abrupt with that one. So you have to have this understanding of what commitment is. I am going all in with God and I'm going to do it through my service for Him. Right on, right on.